The chamber echoed with the murmur of countless voices, a symphony of languages, tones, and alien timbres. The Galactic Council, the ruling body of the most powerful empire in the galaxy, convened in their usual grandeur. The hall itself was a marvel, massive crystalline walls refracting light into shifting rainbows, towering spires adorned with banners representing every species within the empire, and holographic projections that filled the air with images of dominion and conquest. The beings seated in their opulent stations exuded power, their forms ranging from sleek, feathered creatures to towering, armored colossi. At the center of this assembly stood a single figure, a stark contrast to the regalia surrounding him. He was smaller than many of the species present, his leathery skin marked with scars that told stories of battles long past. His eyes, deeply set and unflinchingly sharp, scanned the assembly with a weight that silenced the chamber. He was a war veteran, one of the few survivors of the Empire's earliest encounters with humanity. He spoke in a voice worn but resolute, each word deliberate. "You believe yourselves untouchable. You believe your fleets, your weapons, your technology make you invincible. I am here to tell you, warn you, that you are wrong." The council shifted uncomfortably, a ripple of disdain and skepticism spreading through the room. The veteran continued, his tone unyielding. "I have fought countless wars in my time, seen empires rise and fall. None of them, none, prepared me for humanity. They are unlike any species we have ever encountered. They do not break. They do not yield. And when you push them to the edge, they become something unstoppable." A younger delegate, his exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights, leaned forward with a sneer. "Humans? They are primitive, barely crawling out of their gravity well. Their weapons are relics compared to ours. What threat could they possibly pose to the might of the Empire?" The veteran's gaze locked onto the speaker, his eyes cold and unwavering. "You see their technology, their lack of experience, and you assume weakness. But you don't see their spirit. I was there when we first made contact, when we underestimated them. I watched as they turned their cities into fortresses, as their people became warriors overnight. They don't just fight, they adapt, they endure, and they learn." Another voice chimed in, this one deep and resonant. "If they are so formidable, why are they not already here, challenging us? They are scattered, disorganized, and limited. Their planet is but a single drop in the ocean of our dominion." The veteran's lips curled into a grim smile. "That's what we thought. Until we learned the hard way that they don't need to match us in numbers or strength. They make up for it with something you cannot quantify. Determination. Ingenuity. And the sheer, unrelenting refusal to be conquered." A wave of derisive laughter swept through the chamber. The council's arrogance was palpable, their confidence bolstered by centuries of unchallenged supremacy. One of the council leaders, her crystalline form radiating authority, raised a hand to quiet the room. "Your tales are intriguing, veteran, but they are just that, tales. Humanity is but a small species. The Empire has subdued far greater threats. Your warnings, while colorful, are unnecessary." The veteran's expression darkened. "You believe yourself invincible. That belief will be your undoing. Humanity does not fear war. They do not cower before stronger foes. And when the time comes, they will rise against you with a fury you cannot imagine." The chamber fell silent for a moment, the weight of his words lingering like a storm cloud. Then, with a dismissive gesture, the leader waved him off. "Your services are no longer required. Return to your retirement, old one. The Empire has no need for your cautionary fables." The veteran stood still for a heartbeat, then turned to leave, his gait steady despite the years that weighed on him. As he reached the chamber's exit, he paused and cast a final glance back at the council. His voice, though quiet, carried across the hall with chilling clarity. "You underestimate them. You will regret it." With that, he disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a council too blind with arrogance to see the storm gathering on the horizon. The Empire's fleets descended upon Earth in a wave of shimmering metal and roaring engines, their arrival heralded by the ominous hum of alien weaponry. Vast warships blotted out the sky, their silhouettes casting long, dark shadows over cities below. The first strikes were precise and devastating, buildings reduced to rubble in moments, entire regions plunged into chaos. The Empire, accustomed to conquest, assumed Earth would fall as so many others had before. Humans scattered, their cities in flames, the air thick with smoke and despair. Evacuations were frantic, families torn apart in the rush to escape the destruction. The invaders moved with calculated efficiency, their overconfidence evident in every action. Resistance, they believed, would be fleeting, a mere formality before the inevitable subjugation. But humanity was far from defeated. In the chaos, a spark of defiance ignited. Across the globe, leaders cast aside their differences, summoning a unity that had eluded them for centuries. Nations that had once stood on opposite sides of ideological divides now worked shoulder to shoulder. Generals and politicians who had once clashed over trivialities now spoke in unison, their voices firm with resolve. The call to arms spread like wildfire. Soldiers and civilians alike answered, many without hesitation. Factories retooled overnight, repurposing machinery to produce weapons and supplies. Engineers, mechanics, and programmers worked tirelessly, crafting makeshift defenses and patching together any available technology. Resistance groups sprang up in every corner of the planet, their strategies as diverse as the people who formed them. It wasn't just the trained forces that fought back. Ordinary people found ways to strike at the invaders. Farmers turned their land into traps, rigging explosives beneath seemingly innocuous fields. Urbanites used the labyrinth of their cities to launch ambushes and vanish before the enemy could retaliate. Students and hackers disrupted alien communications, sowing confusion among their ranks. The human spirit shone brightest in the darkest moments. Families sheltered strangers, sharing what little they had despite their own suffering. Doctors and medics worked tirelessly, often risking their lives to save others. Pilots took to the skies in outdated aircraft, engaging in dogfights against ships that far outmatched them, knowing full well they might not return. Each act of resistance chipped away at the Empire's confidence. Their commanders, accustomed to easy victories, began to see the cracks in their plans. Reports filtered in, entire squads ambushed by guerrilla fighters who seemed to appear out of nowhere, ships brought down by desperate pilots who rammed their crafts into vital systems. Human resilience was more than they had anticipated, more than they could comprehend. One story echoed through the Empire's ranks, a tale of a lone soldier who held a critical checkpoint for hours against overwhelming odds, buying time for civilians to escape. Another spoke of an engineer who had been captured but managed to sabotage an alien vessel from within before giving her life to ensure its destruction. These weren't isolated incidents. They were emblematic of humanity's refusal to give in, no matter the cost. The Empire's overconfidence began to waver. The humans were unlike any species they had faced before. They didn't crumble under pressure, they adapted. They didn't retreat in fear, they fought harder. The longer the invasion dragged on, the clearer it became that humanity's strength lay not in its weapons or technology but in its unyielding will to survive, and its capacity to unite against a common enemy. In the face of overwhelming odds, humanity proved what the veteran had warned all along: humans do not fear war. They endure it, and in enduring, they find a way to win. The first breakthrough came not from weapons but from ingenuity. Engineers, working in hidden bunkers and makeshift labs, disassembled captured alien tech piece by piece. What seemed incomprehensible at first began to reveal patterns, systems that could be mimicked, weaknesses that could be exploited. A weapon designed to devastate became a blueprint for defense. Shields meant to repel energy blasts were modified to protect human vehicles. Hackers joined the fight, their keyboards becoming weapons of war. Networks once impenetrable were infiltrated, and chaos rippled through the Empire's command structure. Orders were intercepted, altered, or delayed. Ships arrived at empty battlegrounds, entire fleets misdirected by falsified data. Some troops turned on each other in the confusion, suspecting sabotage from within. On the front lines, human scientists worked tirelessly, turning scraps into solutions. They developed weapons that targeted vulnerabilities in alien armor, bypassing shields with precision strikes. Resourceful and desperate, they combined Earth's crude technologies with alien advancements, creating hybrid tools that gave them an edge. Every success, no matter how small, fed into a growing momentum. The Empire, accustomed to domination, found itself floundering. Human forces didn't fight conventionally, they adapted. Where brute strength failed, they turned to strategy, leveraging the Empire's own arrogance against it. They began setting traps, exploiting patterns in alien tactics. Fake surrenders lured overconfident commanders into ambushes. Civilian broadcasts, seemingly pleading for peace, contained encoded instructions that rallied resistance forces. Propaganda became a weapon. Humanity's defiance was broadcast across the galaxy, showcasing their ability to fight back despite impossible odds. Images of alien ships falling from the sky, soldiers retreating under human fire, and civilians standing their ground spread like wildfire. Even among the Empire's troops, morale wavered. For the first time, they saw an enemy that didn't cower in the face of superior power but grew stronger with each battle. From a distant planet, the veteran watched the reports. Each victory, no matter how small, vindicated his warnings. He saw the same patterns he had witnessed in those early encounters: humanity's ability to learn, to adapt, to transform adversity into strength. Where other species had surrendered or broken, humans fought harder. "They are not like us," he murmured to himself, his voice heavy with both admiration and sorrow. "When we face defeat, we retreat. When they face defeat, they evolve." He spoke to no one in particular, his words a quiet monologue to the stars. "I warned them. Told them humans would not yield. They thought their might would crush them, but they didn't see what I saw. They didn't see the fire that burns in their hearts, the will to endure even when there is no hope." The reports grew more frequent. The Empire's forces, once a seamless machine of conquest, were fracturing under the pressure. Supply lines were disrupted, fleets left stranded without guidance. Human ingenuity turned every weakness into an opportunity, every misstep into an advantage. The veteran closed his eyes, his thoughts distant. He saw the faces of those who had dismissed him, their pride blinding them to the truth. And he saw the faces of the humans he had fought long ago, determined, unrelenting, and fearless. "They don't fight for glory or conquest," he said softly. "They fight because they refuse to be chained. And that is something no empire can ever break." The skies above Earth and across distant colonies burned with the chaos of war. Human fleets, once a ragtag collection of outdated ships, now moved with precision and confidence. Bolstered by reverse-engineered alien technology and the unyielding spirit of their crews, these hybrid vessels danced through the void, outmaneuvering the Empire's once unrivaled armadas. Battleships bristling with patched-together weaponry struck where it hurt most, exploiting weaknesses that had been meticulously uncovered through grit and ingenuity. The Empire responded with all the force it could muster, sending wave after wave of reinforcements. Yet, each encounter revealed the same truth: humanity had grown too strong, too cunning. Where the Empire relied on sheer power, humanity thrived on adaptability. Fleet commanders learned to anticipate alien tactics, predicting movements and countering with surgical precision. Fighters piloted by humans wove through enemy ranks, striking key targets with a ferocity that even seasoned alien warriors found unnerving. On the ground, the story was the same. Human soldiers, armed with a mix of salvaged alien weaponry and their own innovations, turned battlefields into proving grounds for creativity. They used the terrain to their advantage, luring larger forces into ambushes and overwhelming them with swift, decisive strikes. Civilians joined the effort, their ingenuity creating traps and diversions that even the Empire's most advanced forces couldn't anticipate. As the conflict dragged on, the cracks within the Galactic Empire began to deepen. Member species, once united under a banner of dominance, started questioning their loyalty. News of humanity's resilience spread across the stars, sparking doubts about the Empire's infallibility. Entire factions defected, unwilling to continue fighting a war that seemed increasingly unwinnable. Internal divisions grew, with some species advocating for peace while others clung to the hope of reclaiming their supremacy. The Empire's leadership, desperate to maintain control, ordered one final push, a last-ditch effort to crush humanity, and reclaim their dominance. They deployed their flagship, a colossal vessel bristling with firepower and protected by impenetrable defenses. The ship was a symbol of their unyielding authority, a reminder of the power they once wielded without question. But humanity was ready. The final battle unfolded with a ferocity that shook the heavens. Human fleets converged on the flagship, their commanders coordinating with an efficiency born from hard-fought experience. Hackers worked tirelessly to disrupt the flagship's systems, sowing confusion among its crew. Pilots risked everything, launching daring assaults to weaken its shields. On the ground, resistance forces fought to disable key outposts, cutting off the Empire's support. The climactic moment came when a single human strike team, using a captured alien craft, infiltrated the flagship. Their mission was clear: disable the core systems and bring the behemoth down. Against all odds, they succeeded, planting charges that detonated in a chain reaction. The flagship, the pride of the Empire, erupted in a brilliant explosion, its debris scattering across the stars. The Empire's symbol of dominance was no more. The galaxy held its breath. The destruction of the flagship sent a clear message: the era of the Galactic Empire was over. Across the Empire's territories, its remaining forces crumbled. Species that had once feared humanity now looked upon them with a mixture of awe and respect. Humanity's victory was not one of conquest but of survival. As the smoke cleared, a broadcast was sent across the galaxy, transmitted in every known language. It was a simple message, delivered by a human leader whose voice carried the weight of countless sacrifices. We do not seek war. We do not seek to conquer. But we will never bow. To those who would threaten our freedom, let this be a lesson. Humanity endures. On a distant, neutral world, the alien veteran watched the broadcast in silence. The glow of the screen illuminated his weathered face, and as the words echoed in his mind, a tear traced the deep lines of his cheek. It was not a tear of sorrow for the Empire's fall, but one of respect for humanity's triumph and the price both sides had paid. They did it, he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Against all odds, they proved me right. He stared into the sky, his thoughts heavy with the weight of history. They fought not for power, but for their right to exist. And in the end they won. Perhaps there is hope for the galaxy yet. The galaxy, once dominated by the iron fist of the Galactic Empire, found itself in a new era. The fall of the Empire left a power vacuum, but instead of chaos, a cautious order began to emerge. At its heart was humanity, a species once dismissed as primitive, now regarded with both respect and a trace of fear. Former member species of the Empire, some humbled by their roles in the conflict, approached humanity with proposals for alliances and trade. They recognized that humanity's victory had not been one of conquest but survival, driven by a deep-seated will to protect their own. These overtures were met with guarded acceptance. Humanity, scarred by the war, was wary but willing to collaborate in shaping a more equitable future. Earth itself became a beacon, a symbol of resilience and unity. From its orbit, stations teemed with activity, hosting representatives from across the galaxy. Trade routes reopened, science and culture exchanged between species once at odds. The message was clear: humanity sought peace, but their strength ensured that no one would dare threaten them lightly again. Far from the bustle of this new galactic order, the alien veteran lived in quiet solitude on a distant, green world. His home, a modest dwelling nestled in the hills, overlooked a valley that seemed untouched by time. Here, he spent his days writing his memoirs, a chronicle of the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire, and the war that had reshaped the stars. His reflections were measured and profound, his words carrying the weight of someone who had seen both the heights of power and the depths of its folly. They underestimated them, he wrote. We all did. Humanity's strength lies not in their weapons or their numbers, but in their spirit. They endure. They unite. And when threatened, they fight with a ferocity that cannot be quelled. As he penned his thoughts, he often paused to gaze at the sky, where ships occasionally streaked through the heavens. He wondered how many others in the galaxy had learned from the Empire's mistakes. Would they see humanity as an ally, a warning, or both? His hope was that the lessons of the war would lead to a future where strength was tempered with wisdom. He wrote of his admiration for humanity, not for their victories alone, but for the way they had risen from the ashes of devastation. They could have sought revenge, he noted. They could have turned the galaxy into their dominion. Instead, they chose to rebuild, not only for themselves but for all those who suffered under the Empire's rule. That is their true strength, the ability to turn pain into progress, loss into hope. In the galaxy's bustling hubs, humans and aliens work side by side, rebuilding what the war had destroyed. Efforts to restore devastated planets became a shared mission, forging bonds between species that had once been enemies. Hospitals, schools, and homes rose from the ruins, often built by hands that had once held weapons. The veteran smiled faintly as he reflected on this new reality. He could see the seeds of something greater, a galaxy where cooperation replaced conquest, where the lessons of the past were not forgotten but used as a foundation for a better future. As his memoirs neared completion, he concluded with a warning. Let humanity's story be a lesson to all who seek power without thought of consequence. They do not fear war, but neither do they seek it. If you challenge them, you will face not only their strength but their resolve. And you will lose. Yet his final words carried a note of hope. In humanity, I see not just a warrior race, but one capable of great compassion. Perhaps they will guide us to a future where war is no longer necessary, where strength is a shield, not a sword. And if that day comes, it will be a galaxy worth living in. In one symbolic act, a monument was unveiled on a distant world, a towering structure depicting humans and aliens together, standing in unity. Its inscription read, "In struggle, we found strength. In unity, we find peace." It became a pilgrimage site, a reminder of the cost of conflict and the promise of what could be achieved together. The veteran, watching from afar, felt a quiet satisfaction. He had lived long enough to see the galaxy change, to see the echoes of war give way to the whispers of peace. And as the sun set over his quiet valley, he put down his pen, his work complete. In his heart, he carried the hope that his words, like humanity's actions, would endure for generations to come.